Hello everybody, Gavin McCormack here. We are in the Scotia Sea in Antarctica, and this week we're talking all about weather. Now, the Antarctic region is renowned for having some of the most extreme weather in the world. Minus 70 degrees, winds of up to 300 kilometers an hour. It is cold. We're here with Pat. Hello, Pat.
Hey, Gavin.
How are you, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
It's cold, right?
It's very cold.
Now, tell us, why is it so cold in Antarctica?
Well, we're down right at the southern part of the world, and down here we're getting much less sunlight compared to over towards the equator or the middle of the earth. So much less sunlight means much less heat energy, so it's much colder down here.
Right, and it's so windy.
It is.
Why is it so windy here?
Right now we're in a band of winds called the Furious 50s, and these bands of westerly winds blow with heaps of power across the Southern Ocean, which is a huge expansive ocean with no land to block these winds from blowing. So they just blow and blow and blow.
Amazing. Now, I understand that some ancient explorers used to come down here and they discovered something remarkable.
Yeah, so back in the days of the spice trade, the early sailors, they used these winds to speed up their courses. It used to take them a whole year to go from Europe to Indonesia, but using these strong westerly winds, they halved that time. It only took them 6 months, and it was a big breakthrough at the time.
Oh my goodness me, it's certainly strong.
Yeah.
Now, the animals that live here, they seem to love it here.
Yeah.
You know, how do they adapt to live in such cold temperatures?
Oh, it's amazing. They're so well specialized to live down in these areas. You've got your seabirds soaring on these strong winds, your mammals with their fur and blubber to stay warm, and everything's just so specialized to live in the cold.
That's right, and you know, there's a lot of ice around here.
Yeah, exactly.
This cold weather, it creates the seas to freeze, ice forms. How important is the ice?
The ice is super important. It's the place where your emperor penguins get up to nest. The Weddell seals, they create their little breathing holes in the ice as well. Also, all your krill will live and feed underneath the ice, which is the food for everything down here.
That's right, they call this the refrigerator of the world. Why is that? How does the ice control the weather around the globe?
It's really important. So in the equator, you're getting so much heat coming in that something has to help cool it down and regulate the temperature on Earth. And by having the poles, especially Antarctica, it's such an important place to cool down and get rid of some of that excess heat. You've also got all the ice and snow. It helps to reflect lots of sunlight and let that heat go back out to space instead of being absorbed into our atmosphere.
Wow, absolutely amazing. This week we want you to talk all about climate and weather, and we want you to look at your own local weather and how the weather changes over a 7-day forecast, and then we're going to push that on to a month. After that, we want you to look at how that's actually changed over time. Now, Pat, the weather is changing, the climate around the world is changing too. What happens if it's getting warmer? What happens if it gets too warm?
Well, if things get too warm, it can lead to a lot of different things. Down here in Antarctica, we have our ice melting with the warmer temperatures, and that can directly contribute to sea level rise, which can cause our coastal communities and islands to flood over and obviously move lots of people away from their homes. You've also got a hotter Earth can mean more severe weather, things like cyclones and things like that. They get much more energy from a warmer Earth, so they can be much more severe as well.
It's really not good for the animals or for us as human beings.
Yeah.
What can we do to help the world stay cool? What kind of daily things can our children do? Can we do to keep it cool?
There's lots of daily things we can do in our everyday life, and it comes down to being smarter with our consumption of things. You know, turn the lights off in your house when you don't need them. Maybe instead of using an air conditioner, use a fan. Walk if you can instead of driving a car, or take public transport. All these things are a great contribution to help reduce our levels of greenhouse gases being produced.
Right, amazing. Now, while we all love it to be nice and warm when we go on holiday, it's also amazing that the world is balanced, hot and cold. As you can see down here in the Scotia Sea in Antarctica, it is cold, but it is a good cold. It helps the animals, it helps the ice, it helps the whole biome down here, an ecosystem to survive and thrive. Pat, you've been amazing.
Thank you, Gavin.
Let's go in and get a cup of hot tea.
Let's do it.
See you next week.